Karachi, December 2025. What began as a celebration of Sindhi Culture Day quickly spiraled into chaos. Protesters carrying banners of Sindhudesh clashed with police, chanting slogans of freedom, pelting stones and vandalizing property. Arrests followed and Pakistan's financial capital was once again thrust into the spotlight of ethnic nationalism. A rally organized by the GM Syed Mahaz turned confrontational, with demonstrators demanding liberation of Sindh from Pakistan. The slogans were not new, but their intensity was striking. Azadi and Pakistan Murdabad echoing through Karachi streets. For many, this was more than just a protest. It was a reminder of a movement that has simmered for decades. The call for Sindhudesh. Let's connect the dots. Sindhudesh, literally meaning land of Sindh, is the idea of an independent homeland for the Sindhi people. Rooted in cultural pride and political grievances, it challenges Pakistan's federal structure by asserting that Sindh's identity is distinct and its destiny should be separate. The movement is carried forward by nationalist groups like JSSM or GM Syed Mahaz, which translates to Long Live Sindh United Front. They see themselves as defenders of Sindhi heritage against centralization and marginalization. The origins of Sindhudesh trace back to 1967, when GM Syed, a major figure in Sindhi politics, formally articulated the demand alongside Pir Ali Muhammad Rashidi. He argued that Sindh's integration into Pakistan in 1947 had eroded its cultural autonomy. For Syed, Sindh was not merely a province, it was a civilization with its own language, traditions, and history along the Indus River. The call for Sindhudesh was thus both political and cultural, a bid to reclaim identity in the face of homogenization. Over the decades, the movement never became mainstream, but it never disappeared either. It resurfaced during moments of instability, whether in the 1980s under military rule or in the 2000s amid ethnic clashes in Karachi. Each time, the demand reminded Pakistan of its fragile ethnic balance. So why is Sindhudesh being debated again in 2025? The immediate trigger was the violent protest in Karachi, but the deeper reasons lie in a mix of politics, economics, and geopolitics. Sindhis feel marginalized in Pakistan's power structure, with resources and representation concentrated elsewhere. Karachi, despite being the country's economic engine, suffers from chronic governance failures, leaving many Sindhis frustrated. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh too may have ignited the debate when he suggested Sindh might rejoin India one day, citing historical ties. Pakistan's government and Sindh's Provincial Assembly condemned the remark, but its impact was felt on the ground. The Sindhudesh debate had become international, with the usual accusations of external interference amplifying nationalist voices. Army Chief Asim Munir framed the protest as part of external interference, warning India against destabilizing Pakistan. His words underscored the military's instinct to treat Sindhudesh not as a domestic grievance but as a security threat. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif struck a political tone, condemning the violence and declaring separatist slogans unconstitutional. He promised a crackdown on rioters, emphasizing unity as the state's red line. Yet within Sindh itself, local leaders walked a finer line. While rejecting Sindhudesh outright, they acknowledged the frustrations of poor governance and urged reforms to prevent alienation of Sindhi youth. The reactions show a united rejection of separatism, but diverging narratives security, politics, and local identity, each shaping how Pakistan confronts the fault lines exposed in Karachi. Sindhudesh is not alone. Pakistan faces multiple separatist currents. In Balochistan, insurgents demand independence, citing exploitation of natural resources. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pashtun nationalism has long challenged central authority. Together, these movements highlight the strain of a federal system struggling to balance diversity with unity. Against this backdrop, a new debate has emerged. Should Pakistan carve out more provinces? Currently, the country has 4: Punjab, Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Balochistan, alongside the Islamabad Capital Territory and semi-autonomous regions like Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. But critics argue these provinces are too large and unwieldy, failing to deliver governance at the local level. In December 2025, the Federal Minister Abdul Aleem Khan proposed splitting Punjab into 4 provinces: Western, Central, Northern, and Southern Punjab. Similar ideas have been floated for Sindh, dividing it into North, Central, and South Sindh. Some reformers go further, suggesting every administrative division could become a province, potentially creating up to 32 provinces. Supporters say this would empower local communities, improve representation, and reduce hardship. But experts warn of risks. Fragmenting provinces could deepen ethnic divides, overwhelm institutions, and spark disputes over resources like water and energy. In this sense, the Sindhudesh demand and the provincial restructuring debate are intertwined. Both reflect dissatisfaction with the current federal model, though they propose very different solutions. When we connect the dots, a picture emerges of a country at a crossroads. On one side, separatist movements like Sindhudesh push for independence, fueled by cultural pride and political frustration. On the other, reformers propose internal restructuring, carving out more provinces to make governance more responsive. Both paths stem from the same root problem, a sense that Pakistan's federal system is failing to meet the needs of its diverse population. Independence for Sindh remains unlikely, given the state's determination to preserve national unity. But the protests have amplified Sindhi voices, forcing the government to confront grievances more directly. Whether through dialogue, reforms, or repression, Islamabad must respond. At the same time, the provincial restructuring debate could reshape Pakistan's map. If Punjab and Sindh are split, the country's political landscape would change dramatically, potentially easing governance but also risking instability. The challenge is to balance local empowerment with national cohesion. The Sindhudesh debate is more than a separatist slogan. It is a mirror reflecting Pakistan's struggle to reconcile diversity with unity, history with modernity, and local identity with national survival. Whether through new provinces or renewed dialogue, the road ahead will test the resilience of a nation caught between fragmentation and federation. This is the Democratic Republic of Congo, in short, the DRC. It's a vast nation right in the center of Africa. On the map, you can see it is bordered by 9 countries: the Central African Republic and South Sudan to the north, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and Tanzania to the east, Zambia and Angola to the south, and the Republic of Congo to the west. It's one of Africa's largest countries, home to nearly 100 million people, and blessed with enormous natural wealth. The country is rich in minerals like cobalt, coltan, copper, gold, and tin. These resources power our smartphones, electric cars, and global industries. All these may look like a perfect win-win combination for a country, but reality paints a different picture. these minerals actually fueled decades of conflict, especially in the east. Today's story takes us to South Kivu province, near the border with Burundi, and to a key city now caught in the middle of a fast-moving rebel offensive. Thousands of civilians have been fleeing as M23 rebels advance towards the strategic border city of Uvira. The United Nations says around 200,000 people have been displaced in just a few days, and dozens of civilians have been killed. M23 is a powerful, well-armed Tutsi-led group operating in eastern Congo. Uvira sits on the shores of Lake Tanganyika, just across from Burundi. For months, it has served as a headquarters for the government of South Kivu, after the provincial capital, Bukavu, fell to M23 earlier this year. Now, with the rebels entering Uvira's outskirts, the fear of a larger regional spillover is growing. To understand this offensive, we have to step back. Eastern Congo has been unstable for nearly 30 years. All this started since the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. After the killings, some Hutu extremist militia fled into Congo. Now, Rwanda, led by Tutsi forces, repeatedly crossed the border to target those groups. This triggered two wars involving many of Congo's neighbors and millions of deaths. Since then, Tutsi-led rebel movements have risen again and again, claiming they are protecting their communities and accusing Congo's government of failing to honor past peace agreements. M23 takes its name from March 23, 2009 peace deal. M23 says the Congolese government never fully implemented the deal. The group is dominated by ethnic Tutsis, and Rwanda is widely accused by the UN and the United States of supporting the rebels. But Rwanda denies it. Today, M23 is stronger than ever. Its fighters have seized more territory this year than any time before. Its numbers have grown by thousands. Its leaders are building an administrative structure, appointing governors and controlling border crossings. They are, in effect, creating a parallel government across large parts of eastern Congo. The latest escalation began in early December. M23 captured towns in Luvungi, Sange, and Kiliba, pushing steadily south toward Uvira. Residents describe bombardments in the hills. Shops were looted. During the chaos, the roads choked with civilians trying to flee, with many crossing into Burundi. Let's hear one of those voices.
Bombs were exploding over the houses, children are dying, fathers are losing their lives, mothers too. We realized we would not survive this situation. We were told to stay locked inside our homes, but that seemed impossible.
As the fighting intensifies, even Congolese soldiers have been seen fleeing toward Burundi. Government forces, along with local militia groups known as Wazalendo, are struggling to hold their positions. Meanwhile, Rwanda and M23 say Congo's forces have been attacking for months, violating previous ceasefire undertakings. And that takes us to the international dimension. Barely a week before Uvira came under threat, Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's President Paul Kagame stood in Washington with the US President Donald Trump, signing what Trump called a miracle peace deal. But even as the ink dried, fighting continued. Let's hear President Trump's own words.
For more than 30 years, one of the worst conflicts on earth has been raging in eastern Congo. Millions and millions of people have been tragically killed, went on forever, and countless more have been displaced from their homes. Families have been destroyed. It's been a disaster. Many administrations have tried, but probably not too hard, knowing who preceded me. But they tried. It says they've tried, but we tried harder to end this conflict. But they've accomplished. Obviously, they accomplished very little because the killing went on at levels that just got worse and worse. But in the region that will support a lasting peace, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda have agreed to more closely integrate their economies with each other rather than fighting, and they'll be doing that. And
whatever may the peace deal be, on the ground, the war did not end. In fact, the new offensive began almost immediately. President Tshisekedi accused Rwanda of breaking its promises under the Washington deal.
Malgré notre bonne foi,
Despite our good faith and the recently ratified agreement, it's clear that Rwanda is already violating its commitments. The very day after the signing, units of the Rwandan Defense Forces conducted and supported heavy weapons attacks from the Rwandan town of Bugarama, causing heavy human and material damage, thereby breaking the ceasefire.
tiré depuis la ville rwandaise de Bugarama,
Rwanda denies this, insisting its presence in eastern Congo is limited to defensive measures and blaming Congo for escalating the conflict. This crisis is not just about politics or ethnic tensions. It is also undoubtedly about minerals, especially cobalt and coltan. These are essential for batteries and modern electronics. The region around Uvira, Goma, and Bukavu sits on some of the world's most valuable mineral reserves. International interest is obviously high. And peace deals often include provisions about mining rights and access. The recent US brokered agreement also had an economic component aimed at securing American access to these critical minerals. And it is seen as vital in competing with China. Let's hear it from President Trump.
today, the United States is also signing our own bilateral agreements with the Congo and Rwanda that will unlock new opportunities for the United States to access critical minerals and provide economic benefits for everybody. And we'll be involved with sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over to the two countries. And we're going to take out some of the rare earth and take out some of the assets and pay, and everybody's going to make a lot of money.
As the fighting reaches Uvira's outskirts, M23's political and military leaders have been publicly defending their actions. Here is Colonel Nanga, the leader of the Alliance Fleuve Congo. It is the political coalition linked with M23.
The territories we have already recovered from North Kivu to South Kivu, can you really hold on to them with only 4,000 men? Let's be serious. That was the joke. We say that there are no Rwandan troops, and above all, we say that this conflict is a Congolese conflict.
And here is Bertrand Bisimwa, another senior M23 figure.
We have stated and clarified that we have no territorial claims on Burundi, and we have no intention of attacking our neighbor, because we have always lived in peace with the Burundian people. We have asked Burundian troops to withdraw from the Congolese soil.
Despite these assurances, Burundi sees the fall of Uvira as an existential threat. It has deployed nearly 18,000 troops in eastern Congo, creating a dangerous environment where multiple national armies and rebel groups operate in the same territory. Every day, more than 8,000 Congolese refugees have been arriving in Burundi. Many arrive with nothing but the clothes they are wearing. Aid workers say they lack food, water, and medical supplies. Inside Congo, families are hiding under beds as shells fall in the hills above Uvira. Hospitals report dozens of wounded each day. The latest M23 offensive is not just another chapter in this long war. It also shows the grand ceremonies and diplomatic promises do not reflect on the ground. For people fleeing Uvira today, this is not about geopolitics. It is about survival. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We will see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Mark Lynn signing off. Take care and stay safe.